Lord, it's in my soul, stone cold certified, American born and country fried. Howdy, friends. This is your friendly neighborhood country singer-songwriter Ryan Harmon, coming to you straight out of Lamar, by golly, Arkansas, American born and country fried. Well, where do I start? You know, I feel like we need that soap opera music that comes on at the beginning of the shows, you know, previously on Independent Musician. Ryan had a typical 9-to-5 life, playing music in his free time, but still focusing on his real job. Then, Luke Bryan talked him into leaving the 9-to-5 world and going full-time as a musician. Then, somewhere in the world, someone said, "You know, I don't know about you, but I don't feel so good." And the world came crashing down. And that just about brings us up to speed. Now, for those of you who are new to the party and don't know who I am, my name's Ryan Harmon. I'm a country singer-songwriter, been making music for about 11 years, and most notably, I was on American Idol this past season on ABC, so you might have seen me on there auditioning with a song that I wrote called I Knew This Would Happen. By the way, thank y'all so much for your support with that song. We've almost reached the 500,000 mark. Actually, we might be there. I haven't checked it in a couple of weeks, but man, I've just been blown away by how that song has been received. I can't thank y'all enough for that, and all the people who have been nice enough to share it with your friends and to write me some of the nicest emails and comments I've seen, telling me about how that song relates to something that you've had happen in your life. That really does mean the world to me. Kind of makes me feel like I did my job as a songwriter, so thank y'all so much for that. Now, if you haven't checked out my new album, Country Fried, I'll go ahead and get the QVC part out of the way now. If you haven't checked out my new album, Country Fried, put it out last month. I'm really proud of this record. I'd love to know what you think of it. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, whatever your weapon of choice is. I'd love to have you check it out. And there's actually another version of I Knew This Would Happen on the new record. I've got the full band version, which I put out as a single back in February, and then I've got an acoustic version that's on there, just guitar and vocal, which is the way I played it on American Idol. So either way that you pick, check out both of them if you've got time, but either one that you pick, I'd sure appreciate your feedback on that. Now, you may be wondering why I've gathered you all here today. What is this podcast? How is it different from stuff I've done in the past? What are we going to do? Well, the fun answer, at least fun for me, is, I don't know. You know, I don't want to just copy things I've done before. You know, some of you might have heard Country Fried, the podcast that I started when I was at Arkansas PBS, and I don't want to just copy that. And I don't think you could, really. That was a moment in time where I was really lucky to get some great interviews, have some great conversations with people, and it served a particular purpose at that time to go along with our local initiative for the Ken Burns Country Music documentary. And I'm really proud of those shows. If you haven't heard it, you can check it out at myarkansaspbs.org/countryfried. Got all the episodes there, and on YouTube, I think. Just wherever you can find it, I'd love for you to hear those. But it's not going to be the same kind of show. You know, I still want to do interviews, don't get me wrong. Whenever I have the chance to do interviews with people that I want to talk to, absolutely, I'm going to do that for sure. But I don't want to limit it to just that. You know, I want to talk about things that are going on in my life or my music or certainly any kind of entertainment news. And this year, there's been no shortage of entertainment news, as we all know. And there's going to be quite a bit of it that probably spirals into having different people on the show. And there's all kinds of stuff that I want to do that hopefully I'm able to pull off, and we'll see. But I just don't want to limit it to anything. You know, I want to keep it open to whatever's going to be fun and interesting for all of us. It's not just about me, it's about us. And that brings me to another thing that I want to do, and this is not reinventing the wheel by any means. None of this is, but it's something that I really want to do with this podcast. I want to make it conversational. So whatever I'm discussing each week, I want your emails and your comments, and I want to read them on the next week's episode, you know, and just make it something that involves all of us. Because again, it's not just about me, it's about us. And that is the perfect segue for what I'm talking about this week. A while back on social media, I asked people to submit their American Idol questions to me. It could be about my experience on the show or how the audition process works, anything like that. If I knew the answer and thought that I had a good answer, I'd address it. So I will be doing that episode here within the next couple of weeks, but there is one question that comes up every single day. I get asked by at least one person every day, have I moved to Nashville? And I felt like as many times as I've been asked that, and since it's somewhat of an open-ended question and answer and has a lot of moving parts to it, so to speak, I felt like it needed its own episode. So bear with me. I'm going to try to answer this question the best way I can. And just a little disclaimer, some of you are going to be disappointed by the answer, but stick with me because it's not just a simple yes or no. There's a comma and a but after the answer. So don't go away. Stick with me here. The answer is no, comma, but. See what I did there? But I do intend on moving to Nashville as soon as possible. Now, the question that follows that up is, when will that be? And I wish I knew the answer. Of course, the easy answer is as soon as possible. And there is a lot of truth to that because if I got a call tomorrow and a situation came up to where I could move to Nashville tomorrow, I would, absolutely. But I don't want to move out there just for the sake of moving out there. I've got to know that there's something to do once I get out there. Otherwise, I'm kind of wasting my time and my money, and I'm in the way. And I don't want to be in anybody's way. Everybody's got their own problems right now, and you know, it's just best if I go there knowing what's going to happen, having a goal in mind, having my ducks in a row, instead of just showing up and saying, okay, here I am. You know, American Idol told me to go to Nashville. Well, here I am. What do y'all got for me? Anybody? Oh, you mean I'm not special? Well, darn. You know, and I was joking with my buddy Sharp Dunaway, who, by the way, you got to check out his show, Happy Hour with Sharp Dunaway. I was on there after American Idol. We had a great time there. We always do. Sharp's awesome. But we were joking about it, and he said, you know, I want to make a documentary with you called, Okay, I'm in Nashville, ... Now what? And as fitting of a title as that was back in early March, every day since has been more and more fitting. And it all comes down to that one word, uncertainty. You know, and not to repeat what everybody else has been saying, but it really is true. Not knowing day to day what's going to happen. I mean, twice now, the bars and nightclubs in Nashville, a lot of them have been forced to close. Now, one or two here and there have been able to open up and start doing a little bit of live music here and there, but it's nowhere close to what it was before all the shutdowns started happening. So, and once they do start reopening, the priority is going to go to the people who were already working there before all that started happening. I completely understand that, and that's the way I want it to be. That's the way it should be. You know, I've got a lot of friends who do that for a living. They play in the bars and the clubs down on Broadway, and normally you can make a great living doing that. But when they've got it shut down, if that's what you do for a living, you got nothing. And it's just been devastating to see how that's been affecting everybody who is in the music business, especially in Nashville. And it's not limited to just the bars and clubs. You know, I keep hearing from people that the entire music business has just come to a halt. You know, the stuff that they were already planning to release, some of it has been pushed back, some of it they're going to go ahead and release, and they've got different ways of marketing all this stuff now, but you're not seeing a whole lot of activity in the music business right now. And I'm sure they'll figure out different ways to kind of pick the ball back up and start going again. You know, they've started doing these drive-in concerts this summer with big-name artists, you know, John Party, Brad Paisley, Garth Brooks did a big drive-in event. So there will be ways as this all progresses that it slowly starts turning the wheels again. But for somebody like me that would be going to Nashville as, without a doubt, the new kid in town, that doesn't really apply. It's a totally different set of rules, you know, and I'm actively looking every single day for ways that I can make that move happen. It feels like it's getting closer, you know, and who knows, a week from now, everything could just completely go back to the beginning, start from scratch, go back to the drawing board, and I'll have to eat my words. That's not the first time that's happened. You know, I've been wrong before. And I'm sure that anybody who knows me knows that very well. So I'm not afraid of being wrong. I'm not afraid of having to say, oh, well, I didn't quite guess that one right. You know, but it's just a tough situation right now. And again, I know that a lot of you are going to be disappointed or maybe feel like you're kind of shortchanged with that answer, and I'm sorry for that, and I really hope that you understand. I don't want anybody to feel like I'm trying to string you along here. I never, ever want anybody to think that's what I'm doing, because I would never want to do that to anybody. When I say that I'm going to move to Nashville, but I don't know when, that's not my way of just putting it off and taking the easy route. That's my way of saying, I'm going to do this. I don't know when it's going to happen, but the first chance I get, I'm taking it. And, just to be perfectly honest, there were chances that started coming up when the American Idol audition first aired. But, as a lot of you probably understand and have probably heard so many stories about, a lot of those opportunities just kind of started drying up immediately, because all of these different companies and organizations, they don't really have the time or the resources to be starting up all these, new projects and involving new people. So it really has taken a huge toll. I can't stress that enough. Now, where does that leave us today? Well, for those of you who have been following me online, you've probably seen that I've been doing a lot of online concerts, both public and private. By the way, if you would like to book me for your next private online event, send an email to ryanharmonlive@gmail.com. That's ryanharmonlive@gmail.com. And now, back to the program. There's going to be so many QVC moments that ain't even funny. So many that perhaps QVC should also email ryanharmonlive@gmail.com. Please. Especially if you have a Nashville office. Please send me an email. But, I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to work. It's not perfect, but nothing is this year. And nothing ever is, but especially in times like these, nothing's going to be exactly the way that you want it. You just have to take your bruises, try new things. If it doesn't work, you learn from it, you try something else. I get up every day and work as hard as I can trying to figure out something that I can do to try to take another step, whatever that is. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. Ultimately, I know I will reach the goal that I want to reach when it's the right time. If it's tomorrow, great. If it's next March, great. I'll be ready for it, but I just don't know when that's going to be. And I've really learned to accept that and be okay with that. So for those of you who maybe think that, I sound pretty cool about the whole thing, trust me, I've had quite a long time now to think about it and worry about it. And I'm to the point now where I know it's going to happen when it's meant to happen. And ultimately, if it's not meant to happen, if worst case scenario, whatever that may be, and I don't want to take any guesses. At this point, if I start taking guesses, it might end up coming true. So let's not do that. But, whatever happens, I've always believed everything happens for a reason. And whenever that is and whatever the reason is, I'll be ready for it, and I look forward to it. But for the time being, I'm still in Lamar, by golly, Arkansas, waiting for the day that I can say live from Nashville, by golly, Tennessee, although I will admit it doesn't have quite the same ring to it. So we might have to just leave that as an Arkansas saying. We may not be able to transfer everything to Tennessee, but I'm willing to try. A T-shirt is a T-shirt. Now, I do want to say on a very serious note, I've had a lot of people reach out since American Idol who live in the Nashville area, and they've reached out just, with words of encouragement and asking, do you need anything? Do you need a place to stay? If you need anything, give us a call, whenever you move here, or if you just come out here to look around at apartments or whatever, we'd love to meet you, and whatever you need, we'll be here. If you're listening to this and you're one of those people that has sent me a message like that, God bless you, and thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I could never express to you how much that means to me to have that kind of support. Just like I've said to people before, just knowing that somebody there, even just to have lunch with, just knowing that you've got a friend somewhere. That's what it's all about, and that means everything. And I'm lucky. I've got a lot of great friends in Nashville. Some who even were in Arkansas and made the move to Nashville. And maybe we'll be going back together this next time. So we'll see. But for now, I'm just working towards it every single day and looking forward to the day that it happens. Now, before I get off this topic, one more thing I want to throw in there that's a big deal, not just for me, but for a lot of musicians that I think a lot of people don't realize. And I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but I've had Crohn's disease since I was 8 years old. And that is expensive, to say the least. The medications, all the different checkups and tests, it all adds up, and it's a huge bill. So if I'm going to make the move anywhere, I've got to know that I'm going to be in a stable position to where I can pay that bill. Now, as an independent musician, it's not like other jobs. You're not fortunate enough to have that nice healthcare plan from your employer. You've got to figure out a way to make it work yourself, and you may not be able to afford that great a coverage. So again, that's a huge deal for me, of making sure that when I go out there, I've got my ducks in a row, and I know I'm going to be okay, at least for a little while. And then if I'm not going to be so okay and there's another shutdown or something, then I can figure out a way to do whatever I need to do from that point. But, again, I don't want to make a big deal about that, but I think that's something important that a lot of people don't think about, because there's always been this thought that musicians are rich. And nothing could be further from the truth. Are some rich? Yeah. Very, very few. The rest of us, a lot of times, we're just making ends meet, like a lot of people, and again, when you're independent, it's that much harder. So, not having a pity party, just saying, for somebody like me, I've got to make sure that I know what I'm doing. Now, with all of that being said, I have been able here in recent weeks to start getting back to in-person performances, which is something I haven't done since the week that my American Idol audition aired. That was the last time I had played a show in front of a live audience. Since then, it was all online. And to say I've missed it would be the understatement of the year. It really would be. It's just not the same. I will say that doing the online shows, I'm going to still do those, because it's allowed me the chance to play in front of an audience of people from all over the world. You would be amazed at the people that you can reach. And I know that's something that people talk about all the time, but you don't think about it until you're looking at it. The people that you can reach from Canada, Australia, the UK, India, Germany, so many people that just want to hear that music. And they can't make it to a show in Little Rock or Fort Smith or whatever. So I'm still going to do those online shows because it gives me that opportunity. But I have been able to do in-person shows in the last few weeks, and just kind of slowly getting back into it, and hoping that things are stable enough to where I can still do those shows as we progress with all of this, but also knowing that anything could happen. And on that note, I do want to mention something very important to me and a lot of other people, and something you might have already heard about, and if you have, please share it with your friends, and if you haven't heard about it, please check it out. I don't want this to be the least bit political, not in this show or in the comments or anything, because this isn't political. I think a lot of people have made that mistake in these conversations. This isn't a political issue. This is just an issue of people who need our help right now. And talking about these live entertainment venues, these bars and nightclubs, they don't want to be in this situation. And I've seen so many people online that have said they shouldn't be having live music until they can have all of us packed in, elbow to elbow again. It's not as fun when it's not that way. Well, it's just not going to happen. They can't do that. That's how they put themselves at risk of getting shut down again. We don't have that option right now. The way that they have to do things is the only way that they can do things right now. If they had the choice, I guarantee you they would much rather do things the way that they used to. It was better for everybody. But that's just not an option right now. And so, as we go through all of this craziness, all I ask is that you please support your local businesses any way that you feel comfortable doing so. Whether that's going to a limited capacity live show, or even just ordering some takeout from there, getting some food delivered to your house, or just whatever you're comfortable with. If you want these places to be here after this is over, we've got to support them today. I know we all hate it, but they hate it way more than we do. That they feel it in ways that we couldn't imagine, because they're the ones that actually have to pay that price. They're the ones who have to figure out a way to not only put food on their own table, but to provide for their workers who are trying to put food on their tables. And there's a really great movement that you might have heard about called Save Our Stages. And you might have seen it's all about helping these local venues like this, all these bars and nightclubs and theaters and all of these places that are really suffering right now. You can go check it out at saveourstages.com. And again, if you've already heard about it, please share it with your friends. And if you haven't, go check it out and help out any way that you can. I've got a lot of friends that own businesses like this, and I've heard from a lot of people that if another total shutdown happens, they don't think they'll be able to withstand it. And that would just be devastating to not only the music community, but all of these local communities that these venues are such a big part of. And I think sometimes we take them for granted. And I'm guilty of that as well. So let's help them out any way that we can. And with that, we'll wrap up the first episode of Ryan Harmon, American Born and Country Fried. Until next time, God bless y'all. Thanks so much for listening, and say it with me, friends. Shoot! American Born and Country Fried. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Ryan Harmon Music. And visit RyanHarmonMusic.com for news, upcoming shows, music, and more.